Good evening, everyone. It's your host, NJ, and I'd like to welcome you back to my new talk show. I'm just saying. I have some amazing guests with me on today. I have Sonia, Philip. I'm not going through last names. So I got Sonia with me today. I got Shannon, I got William, and I got Matt. I'd like to welcome y'all to my new talk show. I'm just saying. We're going to continue to stick with my topic for this month. My topic this month is love, but my subject today is what is the difference between love and infatuation? I'm just saying. So, in order for us to talk about the two, we must define what the two are. So I looked up the word love, and love can be defined as an intense feeling or deep infatuation. So, with that being said, I'm just saying, what is your definition of the word love? Any one of y'all can answer.
Well, I'll start. First off, the word love or the love in itself is an action, right? It's more than just something that you say. It's more than just something that you feel. It's something that you do. Um, and as you see, I got my God is dope. So I take what love is from the word of God. Love is kind. Love is pure. Love don't hold no wrongs. Love don't count. Love doesn't, is not puffed up. It doesn't do any wrong. So the list goes on in terms of what love is and how to live that. So I feel like it's not just something that you say, I love you, but it's something that you do. Is steps that you take to provide for someone, to do for someone, to give for someone. So that's my definition.
Okay. Anybody else?
I'll
Go ahead.
go.
I'll be the last man standing.
Oh,
Go
okay.
ahead.
Well, for me, I just feel like love is different in different situations. Like something I'm thinking about now is personally, I'm on a journey of self-love. And I feel like sometimes in life, especially if you're a mother or a sister, a friend, you love other people more than you even love yourself. And so I think that for me, loving others and loving yourself, really is about, being unapologetically, accepting, meaning that you accept the good, the bad, the flaws. And so when you love somebody, you no longer look at it as a flaw because you accept
Right.
them for who they are and what they are. Whereas, you know, again, she mentioned it's a verb, but I think it's a verb, it's an adjective, it's a noun, depending on the day, I suppose.
Okay, Matt.
I would say that love is sacrifice.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good word.
Love is it's sacrifice. You got to give and be selfless. A lot of times when it comes to like she was talking about with being a mother. Most mothers, go without sometimes so that their children can have. So that's a form of love. And then,
Mm-hmm.
with the verbs and the nouns and all that stuff that love is, somewhere in the mix with all that, it's an adjective as well because your love is a description sometimes of how you are towards people and all of that. So
Yeah.
it's definitely a sacrifice.
Absolutely. I
Yeah.
definitely agree with that. To me, I think love is knowing the good and bad in someone and
Mm-hmm.
still loving them in all the same.
Mm-hmm.
Um, love is so complicated. It's super complicated. Because it changes over time. It comes and goes. It strengthens. It weakens. Sometimes love disappears and then comes back for another round. So it's like, you know, um, I feel personally that love is way deeper than infatuation. I know people say that infatuation is a deeper, a deep connection. But I'm not gonna get into it right now. I'm not gonna get into the infatuation part. But I just feel that love is just a connection. It's just a real connection, and it's something that doesn't disappear. It's something that doesn't disappear. And it's not black and white. It's
Yeah,
not
that's
black
good.
and white.
Okay, so we talking about. I already mentioned about love as far as a mother to her child, and we talked about love and loving ourselves, and we even talked about love as far as a friendship or a family member or someone you care deeply about. But I want to talk a little bit more about love when it comes to a relationship, a male and a female, a husband and a wife. What is that definition of love, and what does that look like to you?
I'll start. I feel like love in a relationship like that is what Matt said earlier. Is it's giving, it's it's deep. It's putting someone else before yourself. It's thinking of another person and their well-being and their needs, even their wants, before your own. A lot of the times, and it's willing. And even though of course, everybody's like, "What about me?" But when you really love somebody, um, you're thinking about them a lot. You're thinking about their well-being. What can you do to make their life better? What can you do to get that person to their next level in life or in their career or whatever that looks like for the person that you're in love with and the person that you do love.
Okay. So with that being said, is when it comes to love, is there a limit on love? And is how far do you go when you love someone?
That's a good
I don't
one.
think there's supposed to be a limit on love,
Yeah. Mm-mm.
because it's like somebody said in the comments, love is a choice. So like when I see couples, I think I was talking about this the other week, when I see couples that are like been married for like 30, 40 years, somebody woke up every morning choosing to love that person for 30, 40 years. So as far as a limit to it, no, I don't think there should be a limit to it. Because love too is compromise. So in those situations of relationships and marriages and all that kind of stuff, there is a compromising of sometimes me putting my wants and my desires and stuff to the side so that I can make this other person happy. Now, there's a balance to that as well,
Right.
because you don't want to put your stuff or yourself so far to the background that you are neglecting yourself to make that other person happy. But I don't think there should be a limit to it, though.
Okay. Anybody else?
I
Um,
agree.
no, there's is definitely no limit to. I believe there's definitely no limit to how you love someone or how you can love someone. I don't definitely believe that there's levels to love. I definitely believe it's different levels to love. Absolutely, I believe that you can love different individuals different kind of ways. I definitely believe that certain aspects that I might see in another individual, I can love that in another individual the same way, but in different ways, because it might be attributes that you might have that they don't have, but they might have attributes that you don't have. So I mean, it's different level. That's why I say it's so complicated when it comes to love. But I also believe that love is already in like Shannon was talking about on a spiritual level. Love is already embedded in you. I believe that love is
Yeah.
already embedded in you from when you're born. Now, when you take it to another level, um, and this might be for another topic, but when you take it to another level, being in love is a whole nother topic. But just love on the surface, I
Do
think it's
you think
already
it's
embedded in you.
possible to fall out of love with an individual?
No,
Definitely.
absolutely not. I believe that if you say that you fell out of love with an individual, you was never in love with that individual from the get-go. Because love, being in love with somebody is a connection that's that was already there. And I know people that might slide past somebody when I say that, but I think a real connection never disappears. I don't think a real connection ever disappears. Like we was talking about before, uh, how you might disappear for somebody for 20 years and then come back and y'all resurface the same energy that y'all
Yep.
had before y'all left. You had when once y'all reconnect. So I mean, it's real complicated. But I also think that the way, and like Matt was just talking about, the way because love is personalized. That's the good thing about love, because we all can create our own scenarios of how we love and what love is. Like my love might be your lust. My love might be your infatuation. You see what I'm saying? So everybody interprets things differently.
So again, back to my question: is it possible to fall out of love?
I would say this. I would have to say this in as far as falling out of love with somebody. I feel like loving someone never changes. Maybe how you show that love is what changes. Falling out of
I
love,
agree with that.
I agree with Will. Is not you don't fall out of love with somebody unless you never really loved them in the first place, and that might dip in a little bit into that infatuation thing. But when you love somebody, I think there's levels to it, or not levels to love itself, but levels to how you show that love. And everyone receives love in a different way. So I could love somebody and they may not even receive that as love because, they receive love differently. And I think again, so many when you're in that love realm or you're in relationships, you talk about the 5 love languages. There's all different types of ways that people receive love or feel love. But if you can't connect with that person on how they receive love, then it kind of offsets things, and it that other person might not feel like they're being loved, and then that goes a whole nother way. But I feel like you don't fall in or out of love; you just love someone or you don't, and then there's ways in how you show that. And again, back to that sacrifice, you kind of have to sacrifice to show someone that you love them in a way that they will receive that.
Okay, Sonia. Let me get first. I'm sorry, Matt.
You good.
So I just want to speak to, does love have a limit? I think in my mind, the first thing I said is it may not have a limit, but it does have boundaries. And that's something that I'm learning. Again, I'm on a self-love thing right now. And that's something that I put out there is that I'm an only child, but most of my life I've been taught to serve. I was raised in the church. So as an early age, I've been a servant. And my whole life it's been about serving others. And so sometimes you can love people to the point where you have nothing left for yourself. And so, that saying about, oh, you can't pour from an empty cup. But I'm going to speak from the opposite. You can keep putting stuff in a full cup, but stuff is going to spill out. So for me, I'm going to say love may not have a limit, but it may have a boundary. And so you can still continue to love a person just from in a different way so that you're loving yourself more.
Okay. Matt?
I do believe that you can fall out of love with somebody because if love in itself is a choice, at some point in time, something happens where you choose to stop loving that person. Now, granted, the connection can still be there, the feeling can still be there. But I think sometimes love in itself, too, is also blind. And, like it does say in the Bible, love covers a multitude of sins. So a lot of times when you are in love with somebody, there's a lot of stuff that you might overlook about a person and you might look past this or whatever. But at a certain point, that thing that you kind of look past for so long might have built up to the point where it's like you can't really take it anymore. So I do think it is possible to fall out of love with somebody, because if it wasn't, then a lot of people probably would have been married to the wrong person that they were in love with so many years ago. So I do think that you can fall out of love with somebody. You can still love them, but as far as in love with them in that heavy, deep, level of being in love, I think you can't fall out of love with somebody.
Okay. So we talked about love. Now let's talk about the word infatuation. Webster says it's an intense but short-lived passion for something or someone. So we're going to start back with you, Matt, and tell me, what is your definition of infatuation?
Well, I'm a musician, and there have been many times where I've played on various stages and stuff, and you get off stage and, you might see somebody, they're like, oh my God, you did so good, oh my God. So I think the infatuation to me is becoming so excited about more of what that person does than who that person is.
Good.
So, or what that person may have to offer. So, as far as like in a relationship, you may become infatuated with the fact that the woman has a good job, or she's extremely gorgeous, or her body is everything, instead of who she is as a person. You may, that the fact of her being shy and her not liking, horror movies or whatever, that might, like whatever, but your infatuation level about the fact, oh my gosh, she's fine or whatever, that might be what drives you. So I think my definition of infatuation would probably be being more concerned about what that person does, what they have to offer over who that person actually is.
That's a good goal, man. Hey, Sonia, let me hear from you.
Okay, so in my experience, I think that I just think about a lot of sayings. Beauty is only skin deep, and I just think that sometimes people will walk into something because your senses are what they are. You're attracted to somebody maybe by the way they look, the way they smell, the way they walk. As he mentioned, what they can do for you, their status, all that kind of stuff. And I feel like a lot of it is learned behavior. Like, say, as a woman that's plus size, my whole life, you look at magazines, you see skinny people that don't look like you. And so hair is a big thing too. Guys like, oh, I want a light-skinned chick with long hair, but she could be a beast, a monster, just mean, but they don't care, but she look good, And so, one thing that I say is, how Matt mentioned he was a musician. I had a former life. I was an adult entertainer, and so as a dancer, I, as being on that stage that he mentioned, I'll get all types of offers, so to speak. But most of the time, they didn't want to get to know you. They don't know you. They don't love you. They don't even know your real name. So, at the end of the day, I know that you can feel it. It's genuine. It's real. It's going back to love is that thing, but infatuation is like, okay, hit and quit it, Mr. Right now, but not Mr. Right.
Okay, well, William.
William, all right, let's go. I mean, infatuation to me, I believe, is like I believe honestly it's the first level biological attraction um, for an individual um, based off the now. Based off the now. Um, and I know I'm gonna probably get cussed out for this right here, but I'm gonna be honest with you. I believe that women are the biggest misdiagnosis when it comes to infatuation, the difference between infatuation and love. Because I'm gonna tell you the reason why I say what I say is because one thing I notice about women when they ask me certain questions, right? What they fail to realize is that what women fail to realize is that they control the destiny of a relationship from the beginning to the end.
Let me
True that.
Good point.
Period. But what they fail to realize is that on a man's side of things, we'll let you navigate, and then we'll play off what you want to do. We'll play off that. You see what I'm saying? So, but at the end of the day, an infatuation, like you said, you got to get to the root of the word. The root of the word is a short-lived, a deep, short-lived feeling, an actional feeling that you have for an individual, and that's the reason why I can't say that infatuation is a deep connection towards in love. Yeah, I can't mix those two together, an infatuation, because like Matt was just saying, and we was just talking about, it's different levels. And I think the infatuation part is the beginning level. And then once you start understanding the weaknesses, the strengths, the likes, the dislikes of an individual, and then you say, you know what, regardless of how the individual is, I'm going to stick by them regardless. And that's when you start going to the other levels. And then that's when it starts leading into love, because you're accepting that individual regardless of what their flaws are. With an infatuation, I can say, yeah, she's real beautiful, but now I didn't went to her house and her house is just totally disgusting. And I say, you know, regardless of the fact if she's beautiful or not, there's no way I can even deal with her. You see what I'm saying? But with love,
you can't get her Molly Maid.
yeah,
You know, get that
she should
girl
have thought
a maid.
about that before I came into her life. Yeah.
Or before she told you to come over.
Oh gosh. Okay. So for me, infatuation it's an enthusiasm for something. A deep interest into someone. And like like William just said, it's different from love, because when infatuated with someone, you just see all the good things, all the things that appeal to you, all the things that attract you. In the infatuation stage, you're also thinking about the potential of a thing, how that will look for you down the road. Like Matt said, oh, you're her look. So when I show up with my boys, you know, this what they gonna see. This what they gonna be like, yo, when I show my man to my girls, they gonna be like, oh girl, look what, okay. Like Sonia mentioned, the status thing. You know, people get into their minds these notions of what they can look like, what could happen. And I think that's all attached to the infatuation stage. And once you get to know a person, once you really get to converse and get into the ins and outs of the everyday life or routine of a person, that's when you really get to learn who they are, what good and what bad there is in them, what flaws you may see, in addition to the things that you think are perfect. And all of that together is what transforms into love and your decision to continue walking or journeying with the person. But infatuation in itself is just the thoughts of what you see, what you like, and the thoughts of where you feel like being with this person could be good or beneficial for you. That's pretty much it.
Okay. So do you think an individual can get confused by the two?
Definitely.
Love
I
being
really think
infatuated with the individual. So let's just talk about that. I'm just saying.
so. I'll jump off and I'll say yes. I feel like if you don't understand the definition of love, or you don't know what love is, or how to receive love, how to give love, then yes, you can confuse infatuation with love. I think understanding what that is, knowing what that looks like, is important to understand whether you personally are in love or love someone or not, and whether someone else loves you or is just infatuated with you, or just is along to get whatever you have to give.
Okay, Matt.
I would have to agree. Yes, I do believe that the two can be confused. I think sometimes what happens is people can fall in love with the infatuation of a person. When I say that, I mean like you can fall in love with the idea of
Absolutely.
who somebody is, what they represent, and not who they are. A woman could be with a dude because he has a 6-figure job, or he's a millionaire or whatever, but he could be butt ugly. And what I'm saying, like, well, not that looks are everything or whatever. I'm not putting that up there. I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
I'm just saying.
But the fact that he can provide that security and all of that stuff, she may not be in love with him per se, but she's in love with the idea of what he represents for her. So the two can be confused because, in a sense, the infatuation aspect of it is very selfish, and the love aspect should be selfless. So that's where the two can kind of collide and confuse.
So do you think it's wrong for me to be infatuated with what you do?
I wouldn't say it's wrong. It's natural. It happens.
Exactly.
Like if you met an NBA player, of course you're gonna be infatuated with what he does. Like, you know, that's probably one of the first things that attracted you to that person. Now, I have been involved with people that had special jobs, and that didn't really that didn't really matter to me.
What kind of special
You know,
jobs?
Yeah, we want to know.
you know, have to talk about special ones. But
Look, let me sip. Have me a drink.
At the end of the day, you're not the job. You know, that's not who you are on like 24/7. Like the basketball player is not on the court, you know, 24/7. Yeah, that's what he does. That's what, you know, makes him, you know, successful and wealthy and things of that nature. But, you know, he's not on the court bouncing the ball 24/7. So at some point you have to involve yourself with who the person is and not what they do. So it's not wrong. It's natural. I mean, I feel like it's going to happen. Now, granted, you do have some people where that doesn't faze them at all. Like they could care less about all of that. But for the everyday person, I feel like it's not wrong. It's natural.
I would agree.
You agree, Sonia?
So I'm gonna start by saying no, it's not wrong. Like I agree with Matt that it's natural to be attracted to someone because of who they are, you know, like what they do, what they look like, what they have, all that. But one thing that I want to touch on is that infatuation doesn't necessarily have to be with a person. It could be, again, that learned behavior. If you come from a family where your mother is constantly telling you need to be married to a certain kind of person, they need to do this, they need to do that. So that's what your learned behavior your whole life. So you don't understand that is not right, so you're in love with the idea of being in love, meaning you're in love with the idea of being married. You're in love with the idea of being married to a certain person of a certain status or whatever. So it's not wrong because it's what you've been taught and that's all you know. If you come from those belief systems and you haven't gotten to the point where you're not a sheep and you just, willing to separate from the herd and go your own way, you don't know any different. You know what I'm saying? But for me personally, I just kind of feel like, it's not about kind of like he was saying, like I think about abundance. Abundance is not just about money. Wealth is not just about money. It's about all your whole life, your love, your self-care, everything. And so I feel like if you are with a person for a certain reason, you just have to kind of decide, are you with them because you really want to be with them or what they can do for you? But I know I have people in my life that I am with them because of what they pour into my life, because of what they can do and what they can help me with. But on the same note, I make myself available to share what I can and not just be a taker, to have, a two-way love street, so to speak. So no, I don't think it's wrong, but I do think that you should look deeper and ask yourself some important questions sometimes. Why am I really here? Why am I, do I love this person or am I just with this person for what they can do or give me?
Okay, so Jamie Foxx is on a song, and it's a song that I like because he made a comment. I ain't saying I'm a gold digger, but I ain't messing with no broke.
Oh Lord,
here we go. So he made that. Let me finish because I got a question for y'all.
Oh God,
he made that comment and he made that statement, and I truly agree with it.
Okay.
So, do you think it's wrong because you want the better things in life, and you decided I don't want what I came from, but I like what you have?
Lord have mercy. Lord have mercy.
Does it make me not love him less because I like what he has?
See how society did messed us up?
Or should I just say, you know what? Oh, because he has that, then I'm not on his level, or I don't deserve that because I don't have to bring to the table what he has. I'm just saying.
Look, that's a matter of standards. Like you have a standard, and that's okay to have a standard. I feel like that doesn't have anything to do with infatuation. It doesn't have anything to do with love. Now, if that standard does not come along with a requisition of love, if y'all get there, then maybe that's where a problem might occur. But if you have standards, that doesn't have anything to do with the infatuation or whatever. I just feel like you have a level of what you expect from a guy or what you would desire from a guy, and then you just start discovering each other from there. That's all that is.
Anybody else want to comment before?
Yeah, I want to know what experiences you've been through where you start thinking like that. Because it's like now you see we start getting in this mindset and start creating certain things in our minds. And I'm just going to speak on just like when we go through certain experiences in life, right? Then we start creating our different standards and so forth and so forth. But when you start having a standard in mind, would say, oh, when you're going into a situation and you're saying, okay, I'm going in a situation, this is my standard. If he don't have this type of car, I don't want to be with him. If he don't have this, you already going in this situation thinking wrong.
That's your opinion. I'm just
right.
saying.
That's my opinion. I'm sorry.
Yes,
Don't get twisted. That's my opinion.
That's your
but
opinion.
I'm talking about on a man's perspective. If you are explaining to me that these are your standards, right, as a woman,
you can accept it or not.
Right. I can accept it or not. But at the same time, it's a tricky slope because now I'm sitting there saying to myself, oh, she going like that, huh? Okay, well, I'm gonna tell her how I feel on what I want her to do and what my standards are.
Okay, so let me say this. My question was general.
Yes.
But if we're speaking about NJ, if we're talking about NJ, I'm not asking you to bring nothing to the table that I can't bring to the table because we're gonna have a full setting.
Not even.
So let's make that clear. I'm not asking you to bring everything to the table, but what I am going to say is you are going to bring something to the table unless you're not sitting at the table with me.
Okay, that's right.
Well, see this, and you got to realize this too. It's important to have standards because
absolutely,
this, like Nisha mentioned. Having a certain amount of income, right? So I'm going to use myself as an example. I've been in a situation where I've made more and I was okay with that because in my mind, I'm thinking we in this together, let's go. But if the other person is saying, I can't handle you making more, that's a problem because now you're causing a change. You want to pull me back or stop me from my progression because you feel as though I'm making you look a certain type of way to your circle of influence. You see what I'm saying? So I think it's a bad thing to have a standard. I just think that they need to be discussed. And if there's not agreement, then it's okay to move on. But I feel like everyone should have a standard, no matter what that standard is. Everyone should have a standard, and those standards should be discussed. And then if the partners can't agree, then it's okay to move forward. It's okay to part ways or not go down the same path together, because we all have to grow and move forward.
Okay.
Go ahead, man.
That's true. The true bill. True bill.
Go ahead.
First, let me say this. I'm gonna go backwards. To your statement, if the man has a problem with the woman making more, or whatever, that's the insecurity issue that he has to deal with. That has nothing to do with insecurity on his part. Because if y'all are supposed to be building together, he should want you to be out here grinding, doing your thing, not making you feel bad because you make more than him. He needs to get that together within himself. Now, Nisha, back to your original question, I was asked about the gold digger situation. The reason why that comes up as an issue for, the reason why she would be a gold digger in a sense is because she's there's no reciprocity. See, like you said, you would be bringing something to the table. Every woman's not like you.
Okay, so I want you to go back because we didn't hear you for a minute.
Oh, okay. Yeah, hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So you were talking about the gold digger aspect, and I said the issue with that is the gold digger normally is not bringing anything to the table.
Right.
So I know you were talking about you would be able to bring something to the table, but every woman is not like you. So there are some women who would see a dude with a whole bunch of money, and they're like, "Yeah, he's gonna take care of me," but that's the end of the sentence. There is no me giving anything back to him. It's just taking care of me. He gonna buy me this. He taking me shopping. He doing da. Like you're like a meal ticket in a sense for her. So in that aspect, yeah, I mean, of course, you might be attracted to the nicer things, and you might want that because that's not where you know where you came from. But it should be a two-way street, like she was saying. You could have
Absolutely.
some curiosity and bring something to the table besides just the fact that I might sex him down or whatever. It got to be more than that, like because you ain't gonna have sex all the time.
Why not?
You know what
Who don't? Who don't? I don't know who you dealing with, Matt, but okay, I'll wait my turn though. I'm just saying.
I'm saying like you can't have sex 24/7. You got to go to work and you got to do whatever, and you got to at least be able.
Look, if having sex is your job, then yeah, you can. If he paying the play, if he pay what he weigh, I'm just saying.
I'm just saying.
Let me ask something real
Sonia,
quick.
wait, Sonia, I can't hear you that clear.
You can't. Can you hear me or now?
We can barely hear you.
Let me see. I'm gonna take it off the head.
I can hear.
Better now without the headphones?
No.
Worse. Okay. Well, you go ahead because you had something. I'm getting right over here.
Okay. Go ahead, Will.
I wanted to ask a question. All right. And I definitely agree with Shan. I definitely agree with you too. A woman definitely should have standards. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. It's like a man should have standards in the right also. My biggest issue with the standards thing, and I want Matt to chime in on this too, right? Is when a woman gives her standards, then after she gives her standards, it becomes intimate and the standards start to change. Like, and what I mean by standards, I talk about when you first develop in a relationship and a woman comes to you and she tells you exactly what she wants. Look, I want this, I want that. We just friends. This is what it is, so forth and so forth. And then after that, the standards start to change. What are you doing? Why this? Why that? Why this? Who's that? Who's that? Why you ain't coming to the house at 6 o'clock? You just told me we were friends. That was your standard at the time. So now you saying that we done took it to another level without me knowing. So the confusion, and see, I love a woman when she just is straight up. I don't care if you hurt my feelings. I don't care about none of that. Just tell me the truth, straight up. But with the truth, be open and honest with yourself. Mm-hmm. Don't tell me your standards, but then turn around, you telling me, oh, your standards is I got to have a BMW, but you driving a Toyota. That don't make sense. That don't make sense to me. No sense whatsoever. So give me y'all perspective on why, and give me an understanding, and the audience an understanding on why the standards change once the physicality comes in. Why does it change?
Can I do a mic check?
I'm gonna let. Hear me? I'm gonna let Matt comment, but I want to stick to my topic. I want to talk about love and infatuation, and then I got a question after Matt gives his comment.
Can y'all hear me or no? I'm just trying to check in.
Yes, you're good now, Sonia.
Okay. Hey, I wanted to comment for the last one though.
Representative, honey.
Huh?
I'm gonna let Matt, then you, and then I'm going back to my topic.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Who? Me?
I would say the reason why it may change in that aspect, to me, it sounds like it may have a lot to do with what may have happened in previous relationships. So maybe, before the stuff got physical in previous relationships, the standards might have been whatever, and stuff might have been going smoothly, and then something changed, and now this wall might be up. So now that I've given you this part of me, I need all of this. Mm-hmm. And now the honesty part of it too is, if you do have these standards, yes, you should have, be honest with them. Like you said, if you're driving a Honda, but you want your man to have a BMW, that's not very honest, but I think a lot of that, I think what happens to a lot of times in relationships, we don't fully address those speed bumps that we had in the road from previous relationships before getting into new ones.
Yep.
So, you never know what stuff gets triggered by what you never really dealt with from past stuff. So
makes sense.
I think that's why I do that.
Sonia.
Okay, so the first thing I wanted to comment on was the question that had to do with, why should, like, as a gold digger, why should you be getting, say, the money or whatever if you're not bringing anything to the table? So first of all, let's talk about how much it costs to be a woman and to look beautiful for your man. So, the fact that you want to showcase a person as a trophy or whatever, it takes money for the women to get them boobs, to keep their hair done, them nails done, beauty products, all those kind of things. And it's not that we don't do it ourselves, but if a person is infatuated with you because of the way you look and because of the status that you have, it takes money to maintain those things. And so if I'm your, to me, I think time is more valuable than money. So if I'm not able to, say, work in my business or be with my friends or do the things I enjoy in life, and I'm giving you my time, you got to pay to play. Okay. So now I do a lot of community service, and so I don't mind, spending my time other ways. But I'm just saying, to address that question, that you're paying for my time, sir. Okay. Now the second question about things changing is, I think it's very, very important in any relationship, whether it's infatuation, love, F buddy, whatever you want to call them, communication. So I feel like if, I know for me, I've been in those places where I started catching feelings, and I'm just like, hey, I think that I'm starting to catch a little bit of feelings. I think we need to pull back because I want a little bit more. And if you can't give me more, I know that, I'm feeling a little different. So I'm not sure how much longer I'll be able to just be your sex buddy and nothing else. And I've had to walk away from situations because I started to feel a different way, and the person, they just wanted to do it, and I wanted more, and they couldn't give me more. So you have to decide for yourself if to stay in that place, and whether or not you can open up your mouth and say something. A closed mouth don't get fed. I like to eat. I'm just saying.
Okay, so back to my topic. We're dealing with the difference between love and infatuation. And we talked about the word love, and we talked about being infatuated, and we talked about you can get confused by the two. But my question to you is, have you ever been confused by the two? Calling a situation love, and then you found out it was just an infatuation, or vice versa, being infatuated with someone, and then finding out later that it was actual love. I'm just saying.
I'll be last.
Well, I'll be first. I've definitely, I've definitely found myself in a situation where I linked up with someone and we were just enjoying each other's time, and I thought that it was love, but it was infatuation. And how I found out that it was infatuation is because how we talked about earlier, love is being able to see a flaw or see something that you don't like and still be able to move past that. And I wasn't able to do that. I was like, oh no, I can't. I'm out. I'm good. I'm real good.
You did a SpongeBob on them.
Right.
I'm gonna head out
real quick. And so that was my situation. I don't think I've ever been infatuated and found out that it was love, but I've definitely thought that it was love and found out that it was mere infatuation. And I was like, ooh, I don't like that. I think I'm about to go. And it won't even like it was a deal breaker type of situation. It was just like, oh, this how we do? Okay. I'm good. Like you can go about your way, sir. And have a lovely day.
Sonia?
So I agree 100% with what Shannon was saying. I feel like I have been in situations where I thought I was in love with somebody and I loved them. And then as time went on, I just was not in alignment with their lifestyle or certain qualities. So it's not that I didn't love them. I wasn't in love with everything that came with them. And so I realized that I only love certain things about them, but not the whole them. I did not love them holistically. And so yeah, it didn't work out. So yeah, I think it's possible to go into something feeling that you're in love with the person, and then realizing once you're kind of knee in the poop that you realize, oh yeah, no, it's time for me to go ahead on and get out.
Matt.
I had to kind of think long and hard about this one. I think the best way for me to answer this one is that I've been in situations with people where once they got into it, we kind of came to the conclusion that we were kind of both more so in love with the idea of what we represented to one another, and as opposed to being in love with each other. Because I know in one situation, like we were dating each other's representative, and we hadn't really, taken those walls down to really be who we our real selves. We were kind of being who we thought the other person wanted us to be.
That's good.
Yeah.
And then, when it got to that point, you know, that was more of when you realize like it's not really the authenticity that we're looking for. It's more like we're kind of, in the infatuation stage of it all. So.
Matt, you got something to say. You've been on 3 shows with me.
Let's go to the next person, please. Let's go to the next person.
Matt got something to say.
Yes, he did.
I'm just saying. That was good. I mean, and I'm laughing, but I'm serious. That was good because most people won't admit what you just said. And you're on social media and you can't take it back because we live.
Right.
And so many people will have the opportunity to see this. But what you just said, so many people won't be mature enough to admit what you just said. We were dating each other's representatives.
Yeah.
And how and that's what most people do. We date each other's we become the person we think. Those was important words. You became the person you thought she wanted you to be, and vice versa. And so I'm just saying, I'm gonna go ahead and let Will talk. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, that's a true bill. Like
that was good.
And I didn't come on this show to be faking and not be truthful. You know what I'm saying? So it's like Matt was just talking about. Every single relationship I've ever been in has been an infatuation for me. Every single relationship, and it's due to my immaturity, most of it. The fact that going in a relationship, trying to force feed things, trying to sit there and play games and all that has been mainly the reason why I've never been in love my whole life.
Oh, that's so sad.
No, it's not sad. It's not sad.
Okay.
It's a lesson. It's not a loss. It's a lesson. You know what I'm saying? It's a lesson for me.
That's real.
That, now that I'm older now that I'm 40 now, I finally realized to just now start being honest with myself.
Okay.
When it comes to these things, so it's like, and now that I'm being honest with myself, it's so much of a smooth ride now, being honest with myself and not sitting there playing games with the relationship, trying to go back and forth with the relationship, sitting there trying to force things when it's not, you shouldn't even be forcing it, and we only make it harder on ourselves. But like I said, love is super complicated. It's super complicated. And I've made multiple misdiagnoses on love and infatuation to the point where you have to step back. And Sonia, you hit it on the nose. Exactly what you're doing right now is exactly what you got to do before you even start trying to love somebody else. You need to love yourself.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? Because that's, like I said, my insecurities and the reason, my unself-love, the reason why I wasn't loving nobody else the way I could love them is because I wasn't loving myself. So it's like, that's the first thing. That's the first step.
Yep, I agree.
I agree with that.
That's real good. I want those that are watching to put some questions up because I want to entertain some of these questions and comments. And let panelists answer some of these questions. So if y'all have any questions, I want y'all to write them down so we can post them up on the screen and we
Can
can
I
answer some of these questions. But
can I make a comment?
mhm.
So one of the things that I wanted to mention is, I talked about it from the perspective of me saying, being infatuated and going into a relationship. But one of the things that I feel like, we didn't really talk about is people that like I guess that aren't truthful, So like say for me, I love being around nice people. And the people that are fake that basically trick you into falling in love with them, and then once you get in there, like kind of like Hansel and Gretel, they got the snacks, they get you into the house, and then they just throw you in the oven. And they want to eat you because you fat.
I'm weak.
So I feel like I done been into the cookie house a few times, and yeah. So I mean, I feel like that's another thing that's a big factor in the whole love infatuation is when people do have on that mask or that facade, and you're going into something, with your emotions open, and they're, coming to this thing with the fake, facade or whatever, and you don't find out until it's too late. So I just kind of wanted to throw that out there.
Well,
I'm just saying.
you just saying. Well, we have about 8 minutes left before we leave. And so I would like to thank each and every one of y'all for joining me today on the panel. Talking with me, what's the difference between love and infatuation. So I need y'all to please, those that are watching, to like us on Facebook, follow NJ Productions on Instagram, continue to stay tuned, and tell a friend every Saturday at 5 o'clock. We're live. I want you to subscribe to my new YouTube channel, NJ Productions Inc. And lastly, I want you to please tell a friend and share this video. So before we leave, I want some last and final comments from our panelists, and tell us where we can find you on social media, and also tell us about anything that you got going on social media, since we're still social distancing and not social gathering. Shannon, we're going to start with you.
Okay, well, I'm on Instagram as Shannon Sonora. I don't really have too much coming up right now. Still got a couple of things that I'm working on, a few projects I'm working on. But my final words, I guess, on the difference between infatuation and love is, first is, in every relationship, I believe that there is, someone asked this question earlier, I believe there is a level of infatuation. I do believe that everyone has a physicality that they're looking for in a partner, and someone that they're dating. And that's where everything kind of starts. And I feel like that's okay. I feel like understanding the difference between that infatuation and love is realizing when something happens, or when a piece of a person is revealed that you never seen before, or maybe that you don't necessarily like. Might not be a deal breaker, but it's something that you don't like, but still willing to communicate about what that is, how it makes you feel, or vice versa. Whether maybe you had a flaw that someone saw, or something that someone didn't like, but being able to communicate about that thing and move forward or not will be the difference between being infatuated with a person and being in love with a person, and learning how to move forward outside of that infatuation stage.
Will?
Absolutely. Yeah, you can find me. I'm on Instagram, William Smith 7945. Um, just continuing to work on self, like Shannon just said. Having that understanding is the most important thing. Once you have an understanding, and then you know thyself, sky's the limit. But being honest with yourself, just be honest with yourself, um, and know exactly what you want, and stick by it. Don't go against it. Stick by it. Stick by it with wholeheartedly. Because once you start limiting your standards, once you start bowing down to somebody else's way of doing things and so forth, and start giving up um, your principles, um, it can become a disaster. So just always stick to your guns and always understand and know exactly what you want in life.
Sonia?
Okay, well, my final thoughts are just, spend some time loving yourself. Take some time to get to know who you are. Fall in love with yourself. Date yourself, because, I believe in God, but I also believe in the law of attraction. You have to be that energy you want to attract. And so I just say spend some time doing that. And then, yeah, just enjoy life. Everything don't have to be that hard, but find joy in the small things. And for me, you can find me at my website, www.stretchcouture.com or www.soniazphillips.com. You can find me on Instagram at Stretch Couture. I have like a bunch of social media. If anyone out there is watching and wants to know more about the Sexy Unicorn and my journey of self-love, I do have some social media for that. You can just send me a message on any of the other platforms. And I love to just help anyone that I can just to on that journey, or just, follow me on my journey, because I'm still taking it one day at a time, loving me unconditionally.
All right, Sonia. Matt?
All right. Final words when it comes to love and infatuation. I believe it was William Shakespeare who said, "To thine own self be true."
Mm-hmm.
And I think when you are able to start being more real with yourself and honest with yourself, love and infatuation will be an easier road for you to travel down. I think a lot of times that not being honest with yourself, whether it's the honesty of, like you always saying, that you don't need to be in a relationship right now because you're working on yourself, or that you're only in it for this aspect of that, or whatever, is what makes things complicated. Just like somebody was saying in the comments, loving itself is not really supposed to be complicated. We're the ones that make it complicated.
Mm-hmm.
So by being honest with yourself, it should help, everything be a little less complicated when it comes to love and infatuation. If you care to follow me or share about my whereabouts on social media, I'm on Facebook at Matthew Caldwell, and on Instagram at Professor Matt, PROPHESORMATT. And that's it.
Again, I'd like to thank all my panelists. I'd like to thank each and every one of y'all to continue to tune in. Remember, love is long-term. Infatuation is just for a moment. So don't lose forever for a moment.
Never sacrifice your happiness for someone who doesn't love you.
My topic for next month. My topic for next week is it possible to be in love with two people? So I want you to join me next week, same time at NJ Productions Inc. At 5 o'clock. We'll be live again. Stay tuned and continue again to follow me on all of my social medias. Again, I need y'all to continue to like Facebook, go to my Instagram, NJ Productions Inc. And also, I need y'all to really go to my new YouTube channel and begin to click some likes on my YouTube channel. Well, that's all. That's our time. We'll see you this time next week at 5 p.m. Thanks for tuning in. Bye-bye.
Bye. 2 up, 2 down. I don't know if it's backwards on the thing. Like, how you do it? I can't figure it out. Okay, wait. Is that it?